Dice Company contains fantasy violence, mature themes, and unapologetic bickering. No feelings were hurt in the making of it, but listener discretion is advised. Dice Company will always be free, but it's not free to make. Please consider supporting us on Patreon or Apple Podcasts and get access to our weekly roundtable show Extra Roll. Just follow any of the links in the show notes for this chapter.
Previously on Small Embers.
I still don't have your name, though.
Well, you could call me the Blazing Heron, but perhaps my real name is more appropriate than my Rojan name. My name is Gideon Octavius Zeno Denothlian, the first son of Denothlia, member of the first chapter of Rojan, of the lineage of Fabian the Conqueror, and, if you're so inclined, the 16th King of Cantioch in the 10 Realms.
Dude!
Pleasure to meet you.
Vander takes his hand in the same way that he obviously shook hands with him in the past when it meant so much to him to feel the contact of another person. And he gets a very warm handshake embrace from Vander.
A pleasure to meet you in person. Finally, Gideon.
He says, savouring the name of the person who, of course, he didn't know for so long.
And a pleasure to meet you, Sky Marshal Vander Finnick. And he smiles at you warmly.
Of course, Vander says, not still able to get above the flattery, which will enter him at times.
He then looks around the room and sees the other faces, and his eyes light up at the sight of Tok. Tick! Is that you?
Incorrect. My designation is Tok. Tick is my creator. He is present.
And he looks around. Can he see Tick?
There's an automaton cranial case
I've got your friend's head.
Gideon looks around slightly confusedly and says, okay, so, Tok, you're the offspring of Tick. This is fascinating. It's a pleasure to meet you. And he offers his hand to you as well.
Tok will take his hand and try not to crush it.
The handshake that you receive is quite limp. It's not a firm handshake. There's definitely kind of a clamminess that you can feel on your skin palms.
He's definitely related to Augustus.
I'm not sure I like the term skin palms.
I mean, I didn't make them.
I'm not sure I like the bad-mouthing the dead.
Weirdly, of the two, I don't like skin palms more.
Yeah, even I'm definitely more disturbed by that.
You all have them.
We didn't add them, though, did we?
Well met, Tok. I knew your father and his creator quite well. They were impressive people.
Later, I will have queries as to their nature and whereabouts.
I will happily give you all of the information that I can. But tell me more about what's happening. Salazar still lives, the Rojan are destroyed. This is terrible news. What are we doing about it?
As Vander intonated, we are fighting the Second War.
And where are we right now?
You join us at a pivotal moment, Gideon. Currently, we make our way to Misery, where we expect to face an automaton army, much like Tok here.
And Vander gestures back at Tok.
Incorrect, Vander. I am not an army. I am a single individual.
Vander clutches his head for a second, shuddering.
And Gideon laughs uproariously. Ha! Just like Tick. I see, so we're taking on the automatons under the control of Salazar. Will Salazar himself be there?
Negative. The Ravager is elsewhere. He has been distracted.
I see. Well, that means we may stand a chance. And then he looks at the other two. Well, I haven't introduced myself. I am Gideon Octavius Zeno Denothlian. Pleasure to meet you. And he offers a hand to Seeksorrow first.
Hi, I'm Captain Seeksorrow. This is my ship, the Gravedigger.
Oh, interesting name for a ship. Well met, Captain.
Thank you. Yeah, I just named it. I'm just new captain as well, so it's been a very exciting time.
Your voice sounds vaguely familiar to me. Have we met before?
Well, we've had a 5-week break from recording Dice Company, so I can't remember how we do it normally.
Oh, that feels a lot like metagaming.
Oh, I think I've just taken some psychic damage. Sorry, I'll do it seriously. Oh, I'm not sure. Maybe. Where do you think we might have met?
I don't know. I'm usually pretty good with voices, but I definitely recognise yours, but I can't quite pick out where.
You are both from the old continent of Cantioch.
Ah, from the old country. Were you and excuse me if it's an impertinent question, were you a servant of some kind, or someone who used to run a pub, perhaps?
Well, I've had a few jobs, digging graves most recently in Frost Hollow, but I don't suppose we'd have come across each other in my professional capacity because the people that I worked for were, for the most part, dead. With a few exceptions towards the end. It's a bit of a long story.
Well, I look forward to hearing it. And he turns to Petren. And now, you'll have to excuse me, a furbolg?
Oh, that's right. Well done. Not a lot of people get that one. My name's Petren Oakflower. Nice to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you. And what brings you to this band, this small army who's taking on the entire might of Salazar and the automatons?
Well, it's sort of a long story, and I'm starting to realise that people don't always want to hear all of it in one go. They sort of, after about 20 minutes, they sort of glaze over a little bit, and I sense they're not really paying attention. So, as I said, it's a long story, but I think that, to summarise, there are lots of furbolgs living quite near to the town of Misery and the forest of Lannistill, and I feel I've got an obligation to help them out.
I see. So you're fighting for your people against oppression from an outsider.
I suppose I am.
Very heroic. Was to be commended.
Thank you.
Now, I am quite parched after however many years of being a stone statue. Do we have any fine claret aboard?
Captain?
Says Vander, turning to Seeksorrow.
Gentlemen, I have not yet performed a full inventory of the ship's victuals.
Ooh.
It says. Doesn't want to get anyone checking whether that's right. But I shall do so forthwith.
Dereliction of duty, Seeksorrow. A captain must always be able to place his hands on fine liquor.
Vander whispers to Bellerophon, who then scuttles off in the direction of the Sterling.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah. Are we attached to the Sterling, or has he just gone off the side and gone?
Classic Bellerophon.
Oh, damn it.
Vander wearily does the find familiar spell yet again.
You know, they say that spell takes you 10 minutes. Vander should be able to do it quicker. Like practice.
Get a bulk discount as well.
Yeah. Vander turns back to Gideon.
While we wait for refreshments, I am afraid I have grave news. Your grandson, Augustus.
I had a grandson?
You did. Past tense, I'm afraid. He was a member of our group and did wondrous things in the defense of right and good in the Empire before being inhumed by a vampire. I'm afraid your line is poor as far as luck goes. I thought it best you know, even though you did not know the man himself, Augustus was a fine example of a paladin.
This is awful news. His name was Augustus.
Fabian Augustus Zeno Denoflian, to give his full airs and graces.
See. Another Fabian. Lost to the midst of time. This is sad news, and thank you, friend, for imparting it to me.
Vander, there is another.
Vander turns to talk.
Augustus has a sister.
This is true, though of course we have not had the pleasure of meeting her. Luckily.
Incorrect.
Talk, do continue.
Vander says, his hand going inside his robes for his flintlock.
She was last seen entering an interplanar portal on the plane of Concordia. Her whereabouts are unknown.
But there's a chance that she may still be alive.
That is correct.
And you met her.
That is correct.
What was she like?
Fast.
Tok is a rather literal soul, as you may remember from your previous dealings with automatons.
Indeed. I can read between the lines when it comes to automatons.
Really, I thought the description of fast was rather bleak.
I presume he means that she was athletic and full of vim and vigor.
That is correct. She evaded capture.
This is better news. So the Donothlian line continues, in spite of past mistakes.
And of course it continues in you, Gideon. Now you have rejoined the world of the living.
Yes. It is not quite as simple as that. Tell me, friend, what do you know of the Rojan?
A fair deal, Gideon. I was a tyro, due to become one of the greatest of the Rojan, if I say so myself, but history intervened, as you may well be aware, and I found my conditions rather squalid in the dungeon, besides yours.
He says so often.
There is a story I need to tell you, both of you, about the Rojan, about the automatons, about the Emperor himself.
I will settle myself.
Vander pulls up a chair. You don't need to do checks for those.
You don't need to...
Go back.
Hell of a callback. It's rare you get a chapter 1 callback.
It's the strongest callback we have.
But tell me, Gideon, I have longed to know for years what led you to be in that dungeon beside me.
Well, my friends, that is a story and a half, isn't it? But to understand it, we must go back to the beginning. To Cantioch, to the days just after that fateful event. A king's life is never ordinary, but I suspect mine was stranger than most. For me, it began with an assassin, a shapeshifter, and the event the bards now call the Storm's Fall. In the months that followed the defeat of Valak's Storm, I was not myself. None of us were. Raw, wild magic coursed through me like a fever. It whispered in my blood, in my dreams. The sepulchres, my scholars, my priests, studied me as if I were a wound they couldn't close. I hoped they might understand the change I was undergoing. Alas, they were as lost as I was. That power, the gift or curse of the Storm's Fall, made ruling a kingdom impossible. It was all I could do to contain the surges that racked my body. I leaned on my council, on the old families and their endless intrigues, but I reached a breaking point. That was when I received word from an old friend. Brigadier Lucian Winter, the lion-hearted commander of my armies. He had been suffering the same affliction. He'd found a group of travellers from the great library of Corlar Vale. They too bore the mark of the Storm's Fall, yet they had tamed it, controlled it. For the first time, hope stirred in me. But duty has a way of tightening its grip when you long to escape it. My head told me to stay, to keep ruling, but my heart whispered otherwise, that I was meant for something different, something greater than thrones and crowns. Truth be told, I was never made for regency. I'm a poet, a thinker, a man who would rather wander than command. My sister had always been the true ruler between us. But fate, as it so often does, intervened. A young assassin came to me with news of a plot to end my life. Powers from the north had sent a mask weaver, face changer, to replace me. But the assassin struck first, killing the usurper, in full view of Cantioch's nobility. It was chaos, accusations, blood, panic. And in that moment, clarity struck me like a bell. I could vanish beneath my own death, flee the capital, abandon the cage of kingship, and find Lucian and the travelers who might hold the answers to what I was becoming. Leaving was not easy. I left behind the palace, the trappings of power, and my family. I told myself it was for their safety. My son was nearing the age of courtship, and I believed, foolishly perhaps, that he would thrive without my shadow over him. Yes, my decision had been made. So I packed up my essentials, boarded a fine stagecoach, and made my way north. And within weeks, I arrived in Frost Hollow. The air there was sharper than any crown's weight. I met with the newly appointed warden of the region, Wolf Eriksson, a man of few words and steady hands. Of course, Your Majesty. Whatever you require, I will assist. I've arranged the paperwork to release Brigadier Lucian Winter from his oath to the crown. All it requires is the king's consent. Perhaps it could be your final act as regent. He paused, studying me with that quiet understanding. As for the travelers, as I understand it, they plan to leave soon. It might be best if the king did not reside in Cantioch any longer. A fresh start away from the ties that bind. And so it was done. With a stroke of a pen, the king of Cantioch died, and Octavius was born. Good luck, Your Majesty. That night I found Lucian in the Whispering Lute Inn. A quiet place, its rafters heavy with smoke and song.
It has been some time, Your Majesty. Or is it just Gideon now?
No, I shall go by another name. Octavius seems appropriate.
As you wish. Octavius. Before I introduce you, there's something you should know. This group, the ones from Corler Vale, have been traveling together for nearly a year. They've seen war, death, and wonder. They've returned here for their anniversary and are looking for new apprentices to teach them to control their gifts. You have the opportunity here and now to choose. To become something greater than you have been before. Few recognize the choice when it comes.
He smiled faintly, the same words he had once spoken to me when I first took command of an army. Lucian always did know how to turn a moment into destiny. He led me to a back room where a dozen figures sat around a scarred table, the air thick with magic and mead.
Allow me to introduce you, Octavius, to the Rojan Council.
First, there was Magnus, whom they called Steel, a hulking man with hair so pale it was almost white.
Good to have you with us. It's heartening to see our power grow every day.
Beside him sat a towering orc, polishing a dented pauldron.
He's bigger than I imagined. You reckon he can handle himself? I'd like to test his mettle.
You can't handle yourself. Maybe don't worry about others?
I can handle myself plenty, little man.
Lucian's laugh broke through before they could stand.
The human is Steel, the orc the towering shield, still learning to control the impulses. A firm hand usually does the job, for both of them.
The two men both laughed. Across the table, a gnome tinkered with a small cube that whirred softly.
Useful to have some big friends, though.
Our gnomish friend here is Engram.
He extended a grease-stained hand.
Hello there. I've never met a king before.
From the corner came a sharp, measured voice.
What's your volume, Engram?
We're the only ones in the inn, Elestia. I think we're safe.
We chose pseudonyms for a reason. I don't trust this place. I can feel eyes on us.
Lucian smirked.
This paranoid control freak is Elestia Sylvain, the Dawn Rider.
Be careful, Lucian. You're not in charge here. Well met, Octavius.
The tension between them crackled. Lucian continued with the introductions. Nocturna, Florette, Storm Warden, and a half-man, half-dragon called Sage Whisper.
Did I tell you the time I won a wrestling match with a frost giant? Oh, it tried to grapple me all right, but the thing about skill and strength and subterfuge is that they're all really hard to use when you're on fire. Everyone has a plan until you set fire to their head.
Before laughter could settle, the door creaked open and 2 machines entered. Gleaming brass and flickering runes.
So, this is the former king. Good to see he's keeping the streak alive. Most impressive titles, least impressive people.
Avaros! Secrets!
Yes. You don't need to remind me, Dawn Rider. The secrets were my idea.
You're welcome, by the way.
Anyway, enough of this. I've got something to show you. My latest creation. I call him Tick.
I'd never seen an automaton before. Watching 2 stride into a tavern was disorientating. They regarded me with something between curiosity and boredom. Lucian, ever the rescuer, steered the moment forward.
And these blessed sisters are Starborn and the Celestial Hammer.
And that was when I saw her. Clara. The world stopped. You've heard the old stories when the hero meets the maiden and time slows to a crawl. I'd always dismissed it as poetry. But in that instant, as her eyes met mine, everything else blurred.
I suppose my name is Celestial Hammer, but my friends call me C. You can call me C.
Don't get any ideas, Octavius. She's spoken for.
He leaned in to kiss her, and the dream shattered like glass. I shook Starborn's hand, but my gaze was fixed on Clara.
How predictable. You're not even listening, are you? Only eyes for my sister. I could be saying anything right now, couldn't I? Well, I'm sure this won't have catastrophically dramatic consequences somewhere down the line.
In that moment, I knew my choice. I'm delighted to join you all.
Huh, not a bad choice.
I hadn't even seen him there, seated behind me, cloaked in shadow as if the light itself refused to touch him.
I am Lysander Llewellyn, but my enemies call me the Shadowblade. And lucky for you, I am to be your new mentor.
And that, my friends, is how I met my Rojan master. The night blurred into laughter and promise, and to my shame, not once did I spare a thought for the family I left behind. A new life awaited me, and I intended to seize it. Two years had passed since the founding of the Citadel of Roanoke. I remember the sound of hammers most of all. Endless, day and night. The air always smelled of oil and burnt silver. Sparks from the forges rose like fireflies into the frozen dawn. It was supposed to be our triumph, proof of the Rojan's power. But we were only building walls to hide the rot. I still remember the moment that Avaros entered the council hall.
I gave them sentience. You all knew that?
We knew you had a theory, Avaros. We didn't know you were mad enough to act on it.
Madness? No. Mercy. They think. They feel. And now, they're dying. It's the weave itself. What's left of it. Every spark of divine power we've touched has curdled.
Tick's been different lately. He doesn't respond like he used to. Sometimes I think he's dreaming.
dreaming of freedom, more importantly, of the gods that made them. I don't understand it, but the sickness, it's worse than we thought. It's affecting us too. Every creature touched by the Storm's Fall ribbon is infected.
And the answer to Avros came from an unexpected place. Therion Salazar, the Dawn Rider's Tyro, stepped forward into the center of the hall.
They dream because they remember. The weave remembers. You think this is corruption? You think it is an illness? It's a memory trying to return to its source. We are not meant to cage it.
And what would you have us do? Let it consume us?
I would have us ascend.
Stillness descended. You could hear the scrape of chairs. That word, ascend, fell into the chamber like a blade.
You mean the ritual? You can't be serious.
I've never been more serious. Hundreds die, so thousands live. You all know it's the only way. You felt it in your bones. The decay, the fatigue, the whispers at night. We are burning out, Dawn Rider. And no prayer, no wall, and no crown can stop it.
I will not murder innocents for your obsession with divinity.
Innocence? You speak like a sepulchre, not a leader. We are gods in exile. What is a few hundred lives against eternity?
Enough. Thereon you speak like a man lost in a dream. I understand your fear. I feel it too. Every night my hands tremble. I wake choking on light. But the cure you offer is worse than the disease.
You were always the king's soldier, loyal to a fault.
No. Loyal to what we were. Loyal to the promise that Rojan stood for, to build a better world, not devour it.
That world is dying, Lucian. Look around you. The Citadel is a tomb we haven't buried ourselves in yet.
And whose fault is that? You play with rituals older than the stars and call it salvation. You'd carve the hearts from children to buy yourself another century.
You think yourself righteous because you're afraid to act.
And you think yourself a god because you're afraid to die?
I will outlive you all. When I return, I will bring deliverance. You'll kneel or burn. Either way, you'll thank me.
When the door closed, I realized I was shaking. Not from the fear of Therion, but because I believed him. Part of me always had.
You pushed him too far.
Don't you dare lay that at my feet. He chose his path.
He's our responsibility. We trained him, fed him those ideas, and now he's turned them to poison.
He was corrupted before we found him. The ribbon marked him.
Then what does that make us? We carry the same mark. You think the corruption stops where your conviction begins?
Don't you ever compare me to him.
Perhaps that's what frightens me most, Elestia. That we're already too much alike.
That night, I walked the upper ramparts alone. The wind cut like knives, and the snow fell black with ash from the forges. The citadel loomed beneath me, vast and hollow, a monument to what we had almost been. Shadowblade found me there, as he always did.
You look like you've seen the end of the world, my friend.
I think I have.
Then you're late to the party. It ended years ago.
He sat down beside me, produced a small silver ring etched with the mark of a heron.
The ring? You still wear it?
Of course. It's our pact. You said as long as we both wear them, we'd remember who we are.
And do you remember who we are?
Some days. Other days I think I've become the kind of man I used to despise.
Then you are learning, my friend, that sometimes wisdom is just a disappointment of knowing that you survived.
He left me there, staring at that little silver heron, wondering if anything in this world could stay pure once the gods had gone silent. I didn't know it then, but the schism had already begun. The Citadel would never be finished. The corruption would never stop. And none of us would ever be the same again. It is strange, the sounds that stay with you. Not the clash of steel or the cries of dying men, but the soft ones. The tread of boots on marble, a child's breath, the sound of a letter being opened. The war had been raging for 5 years when the letter came. 5 years since the council had split. Since Therion and his zealots had declared themselves the true successors to the Rojan vision. The Shadow Vanguard, they called themselves. A fine name for murderers. The citadel at Roanoke was grey with rain that morning. I remember the light spilling through the glass like washed-out gold. Lucien stood by the window, still as a statue, when the courier entered. Clara was there too, pale, thin, with her hair unbraided for once. I had not seen her sleep in days. It was a letter from Gothamer. I recognized the design at once. There was a note about my son. He'd been killed. The courier didn't need to speak. I saw it in the parchment seal, cracked and blackened wax that hadn't set right. Lucien took it, broke it open, read it once, then twice, then dropped it on the table. The words caught like oil on fire in my head. Fabian Denothlian, assassinated by unknown agents. Unknown, or more accurately, known, but feared to name. Clara's hand went to her mouth. I think she wanted to speak, but no sound came out. Lucien did not move. His eyes were fixed on the horizon. The same distant look he wore when speaking of things far beyond us. I found my voice. Brittle, angry. He was my boy, Lucien. My son.
We've all had children die, Gideon. That is the price.
He turned away. That was how Lucien dealt with grief, by sealing it behind iron walls. Dawnrider used to say it made him strong. I used to think it made him hollow. Clara sank into the chair beside the fire, staring at the floor, and the silence stretched out until it felt like it might break. Then, quietly, she spoke.
The war takes everything. It's meant to.
Her voice was barely a whisper, yet I remember it more than all the shouting that followed. That day the fractures among us deepened. We'd been unraveling for years, but this was the moment that the thread snapped. Lucien blamed Salazar for Fabian's death, though he never said it aloud. The assassins bore no banners, no crest, but Lucien knew. He said it was meant to break us, to test our faith. He began to speak of purity, of reforging the Rojan vision through fire, of sacrifice. It frightened me. Clara, for her part, had grown quiet and withdrawn. Once she had matched Lucien word for word. Now she looked at him like he was something she could not name. They spoke rarely. and when they did, it was as if two storms brushed past one another without meeting. There were whispers then of her child, their child, my child. The truth didn't matter. What mattered was the possibility. I remember the night it all came to a head. The war room, maps spread across the table, rain beating against the shutters. Lucian was pacing, his eyes wild with calculation.
We're losing the east. The automatons outnumber us 3-1 now, and we can't hold Ovik much longer.
Then pull back. Regroup at the river forts.
And abandon the southern supply lines? No. We strike first.
You'd throw what's left of us into a slaughter?
It's not your decision, Octavius.
No, it never is it? Not when it concerns Clara, not when it concerns Fabian, not when it concerns anyone who might make you look at what you've done! Lucian's hand trembled, not from fear, but rage. Clara's eyes lifted from the maps. There was no fear in them, only exhaustion.
Stop. Both of you. This isn't...
You'll meet me in Alphon, Clara. We have plans to secure. You will do as you're told.
He said it like an order, like she was another soldier in his army. Then he turned and left without looking back. The door closed. The sound of a latch echoed like a hammer on a coffin. When he was gone, the room felt smaller, quieter. The fire crackled. Arna, dear, loyal Arna, placed a hand on Clara's shoulder.
You can't go with him. Not now. Not with the child.
He'll find me if I run.
Then you don't run south. Go north. Past the ranges, past Rochester, past the Vale. There are places the war hasn't reached yet.
And what then?
Then you live. That's all that matters now. She looked up at me then, tears on her cheeks. For a heartbeat, I thought I saw something like forgiveness. Arna spoke softly, like someone uttering a prophecy.
The child carries both their blood. He may yet heal what's been broken.
Clara touched her stomach, her voice a whisper barely carried by the firelight.
Then he'll have a name.
She looked towards the rain-slick window, her voice trembling.
Fabian.
I never saw her again after that night. Lucian marched south with the last of his forces. The great dream of the Rojan burned to ash. But sometimes in my dreams, when I walk the battlements of what remains, I think of that boy. My boy. The one she carried north. Two Fabians, one lost to fire, one born of it. And I wonder which of them had the better fate. There are days when I think I can still feel the weight of the chains. Not their pull, but their memory. The ache they left behind my skin. Like the ghost of an oath broken long ago. We'd gone too far north, Shadowblade and I, chasing rumors of Salazar's movements. We were a year away from when Roanoke burned, when the war was still a distant roar we pretended we could quiet. They came for us in the night. Not soldiers, but those things Joseph had made. Neither flesh nor machine. We fought until our blades dulled. Lysander took down 3 before they overwhelmed him. When I woke, I was in a cell. He was in the cell next to mine, pale, bound but alive. And I remember I thought that would be enough. If Lysander lived, somehow we'd find a way out. Gods forgive me. It didn't take long to learn what kind of man Joseph had become. He'd always been quiet, one of Lucian's thinkers, the sort who'd rather talk about philosophy than fight. But war has a way of remaking people, of showing what was always waiting beneath. He came to us with clean hands and a voice like a sermon. You were great once, Gideon. Once the world trembled at the Rojan's name. But look at you. A relic. Flesh decaying. Spirit rotting. The gods have turned their faces away. But I can show you how to make them look again. I spat blood on the floor and told him to go to hell. He smiled like a sepulchre. He talked for hours that first day. About reclamation. About flesh perfected by metal. Spirit by pain. How Salazar's plans for ascension were nothing but a child's dream, and the true transcendence required sacrifice. They took Lysander first. I heard him shouting down the corridor, the sound of metal cutting through flesh. Then a scream that didn't end until it was more breath than voice. When they brought him back, he was alive, hand gone at the wrist, blood black where the wound met the bandage. I looked at him through a gap in the wall. Gods. That look. I knew he wasn't afraid of dying. Only of what came next. We weren't allowed to speak, but when Joseph left, Lysander whispered to me through the bars.
Look, do not give him anything. Not a word.
I won't.
Promise me.
I promise.
Good. Good. Trust me, my friend. This is not the end. We will find a way to be free again. Mark my words. We will not die here.
I meant it. I truly did. But time is a slow executioner. Joseph returned, always patient, always certain that the world itself bent toward his reason. He didn't beat me. He didn't need to. He talked. Day after day, he talked until the walls began to believe him. He asked about the Citadel, about the Rojan's defenses, about the surviving Tyros, the Dawn Rider, Clara, Lucian, and I gave him nothing. At first. But he already knew. Do you think you're special, Gideon? You and your brothers. I already have what I need. Your armies march toward their graves. And Salazar marches with them. He was telling the truth. Salazar already had the knowledge to break Roanoke, to unmake the world that had once crowned him as savior. Joseph didn't need me. He just wanted to see how long it would take for me to break. And I broke. Oh, we all break in the end. I told him everything. Not the secrets he didn't already have, but the kind that haunt a man when he's alone. I told him about the Heron ring, the oath Lysander and I swore, the fear that we'd failed everyone we loved. He listened in silence, then said quietly, Even your loyalty is a disease. I'm trying to cure it. Months later they moved me. By then, I was alone. Lysander was gone. Dead, or so Joseph claimed. I never saw a body, never heard another scream. Just his empty chains. That was when they brought a new prisoner to the cell beside me. I never saw his face, only heard his voice, soft, deliberate, with a strange lilting accent. He didn't speak often, but once through the wall I heard him whisper a prayer to someone named Morticia. I didn't know who he was. I do now. One night, Joseph came again, lantern in one hand, a vial of silver liquid in the other. His smile was thin as wire. The corruption is reaching its limit, you know. Even Salazar feels it now. He believes his ritual will cleanse the world. He is a fool. The gods do not cleanse. They correct. He crouched beside me, light flickering across his eyes. I can make them see us again, Gideon. I can force them to look. I can turn their gaze upon the Rojan, freeze the corruption where it stands. Stone. Unyielding. Pure. They call it a curse, but it will be a mercy. And if the gods choose to smite us for it, well, I asked him what the experiment was for. He smiled again. I am looking for the one who can survive it. The perfect vessel. Salazar believes it's for him, but he is too weak already. His soul will burn in the fire he's lit. No, it must be done by someone stronger, someone who understands what it means to endure. Fingers brushed my face, cold as the grave. Perhaps you'll qualify. Perhaps not. He left me in the dark after that, the door shutting like a tomb. The stone remembers us better than the gods ever will. In those final days, as he performed a series of incisions, each more painful than the last, each caused an explosion of power from me. It was the type of which I'd never experienced. Every day, one step closer to drawing the attention of the gods. As it turned out, one step closer to the stone. The pain in my stomach caused me to bend double, and you can't help but reach forward for help. Help that never came. They tell you that pain teaches, that it reveals truth. It doesn't. It just strips away what's left of who you were. In those final days, I still dreamt of Lysander. Not as he was when they took him, but as he stood the day we took our oaths. 2 brothers, 2 herons. He said the ring meant freedom. I said it meant duty. I think we were both wrong.
Vander's eye gleams as the tale comes to an end.
Finally, the mystery of the Heron is resolved. How interesting. Our name's origin,
he says, looking around at the others in the group.
A number of other mysteries have been solved as well. I wonder, what are your insights, Doc?
I have queries. I have prepared a list.
Then perhaps this is for the first time appropriate that we should listen to the list and answer your questions.
Now we find out if Harry's really got a list.
Oh, you don't have a list.
Yeah,
Calling his bluff!
Oh, it's
Of course he's
all
got a
been
list.
I do literally
lie.
have a list, I'm afraid.
Guys are so they have
Did you
lists.
query whether
Yeah.
he would have a list?
Oh, he's taking a drink before reading the list. I'll do that as well. Ooh.
Query. What caused the automatons to begin to die? It was the affliction of the Rojan.
As I understand it from my dealings with Avaros, which were limited, I believe the weave itself was damaged by the Storm's Fall ribbon, and the sentience granted to the automatons by Avaros comes from the magic of the weave itself, if that makes sense.
It may. Query. How quickly did the disease progress?
The progression of the disease was directly linked to how much magical energy a creature used. So for automatons, it was a slow and steady decline, because their entire bodies run on the arcane weave. For the Rojans, it was different. As they used more and more power, it escalated faster and faster.
I may suppose that I am afflicted. I feel no decay, no fatigue, or whispers at night.
As I understand it, the automatons who are afflicted, or were afflicted, did suffer from those things. If you did not, then perhaps you are not afflicted.
Query. Is Vander afflicted? Query. How would we tell? What are the symptoms in humans? What of Petren? What of Benny?
And now we come to it, do we not?
Says Vander, his cane spinning idly on the ground in his hand.
It brings me no joy, my friend, to tell you that you are afflicted. In the same way that I am afflicted, and all Rojan are. You are dying, my friend.
It was one of the great tricks of the Rojan, was it not? Approach the young, the vibrant, tell them of their powers, and subtly get them to use those powers, and thereby speed the infection that already coursed through their veins. How intoxicating it was in those early days when I was the blade itself. I read of the affliction in the books of the Library of Roanoke. There it made clear that all tyros were selected because they already suffered, victims, in one sense. The Roja knew what they were doing when they trained us. And they knew what our end would look like once we had mastered our arts. So yes, Tok, I am dying.
And we'll end it there.
You've been listening to Dice Company's Small Embers, starring Dave Windust as Petren Oakflower, Charlie Blackadder as Vander Finnick, Alex Morrison as Seeksorrow, and Harry King as Tok, with Tom Patrick as your Dungeon Master.
The humans of Dice Company would like to thank the following sweethearts for their support: Corey Mack, Dave Patterson, Boy Genius, Sepulchre Stennett, Marky B, Jenny the War Camel, Stephen Sikora, Nori Gosler, Mickey Arnold, Happy Daddy Scotty, Tika, Rabbi Camel, Team #Stay Toxic, Path Pursuit, Paris Pakar, Julia Zeno, Shovels, Queenie, and an extra special thanks to our Council of Rojan, the Red Right Hand, ShelbyKat, purveyor of exceptional dice, S.J. Phionics, Zeus Legion, Richard Ungermas, Mama Strange, Axel Runholm, and Chris from North London.
Lovely. And you can say there's a story I wish to tell you.
Yeah.
Is Benny protected from the corruption because he was conceived in a three-way?
He was not conceived in a three-way! That's sink!
Weirdly, I think I have the same protection.
I don't want to know. Jesus, man. What makes you think that I want to know that kind of information?
Good grief.
Yeah, you really wrong-footed me too there, Dom. I thought you wanted to know.
Colossal.
Sick of Dom at parties.
Harry, I got the impression you wanted to say something there. I can
I
see
so
you
wanted to
biting
jump in
back.
with. He says so often. That was painful holding back.
That's right, you said it now, so I can splice it in.
That means Vander is slowly wasting away. And also, how would we tell?
Which my answer is, fuck you, Harry.
Such a good line. How would we tell?
Oop, lost another finger.
I'll be addressing
Just
that with
fell
my
off.
left hand because my right has disintegrated. Me and Dom were discussing that you should use your social media power to ask if anyone can put their hands on a single bottle of Mirage and say, for reasons we can't explain, the people of Dice Company will pay any price for even one bottle of that delicious fruit punch.
Finally,
Or
the
punchy
reason we're
fruit.
doing this whole thing comes to light.
It's our Szechuan sauce.
Lore.
Thanks for listening. Please consider supporting Dice Company on Patreon, where for the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to a whole other show, Extra Roll, as well as an ad-free listening experience. The Dice Company Discord server, along with our socials, can be found on our link tree in the show notes. If you enjoyed this chapter, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to recommend us to your friends. If you didn't like it, recommend us to your enemies. And we'll see you next time on Dice Company.